Welcome to another inspiring episode of the Elite Expert Insider Podcast. Hosts Melanie Johnson and Jenn Foster are the owners of Elite Online Publishing. They're both Wall Street Journal, USA Today best-selling authors. We're really glad you're here because this podcast was designed for you. Meet industry experts that share their secrets and strategies. Get successful results for your business in money, relationships, health, and your life. Each episode is going to inspire you to take action towards reaching your greatness.
Hey everyone, how are you doing today? This is Melanie Johnson along with my business partner, Jenn Foster. Hi, Jenn.
Hey everyone.
So you know what's happening today? I don't know if you've ever met one person that's running a C-store chain, an oil company, a petroleum refinery, also managing a bank and a hotel chain. We have that one person, and she's a woman who's the president and CEO of all of this. Do you think she might have a little bit of information to help you out? And it's some of these businesses have been around for multi-generations. So I can't wait to hear the story and how she got to where she's at and how she can help us do the same thing that she's doing. Crystal Maggelet, thank you so much for coming today.
I'm very excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we would love to hear your story. And just so the listeners know, Crystal and I, this is the first time we've seen each other face to face, even though it's on a video chat, but she's my second cousin, and her grandpa and my grandpa were brothers.
Which is very cool. We come from very big families.
Yes,
sure.
Very, very big families. Lots of grandkids, lots of great grandkids. Yes. So Crystal, tell us a little bit about how you got in this position that you're at today.
Well, my father, Jay Call, started a business back in 1968. I was born in 1964. And he went on to put together a fully integrated oil company by 1981. That means that he had exploration production through retail outlets. And so I was always part of his entrepreneurial experience my whole life. However, I didn't work for the company very much. I was very fortunate to be one of I think the first college graduate, actually. My dad didn't even graduate from college in our family, immediate family. And I actually did go to work for a very short period of time for one of our refineries in my early 20s. And then I went on to Harvard Business School. When I finished business school, I came back. I live in Utah today, and I came back to Utah and started hotels with my husband. And my dad was our business partner, but it was a separate company, and my husband and I did that for a number of years. In the early 2000s, and during that time, actually, I wasn't just building a business, I was building a family. We had 4 children during that time. Wow. So by the early 2000s, I had 4 kids, 14 hotels. My husband and I were working together. And my dad passed away in a plane crash. And his company, which is called Flying J, was doing very, very well at that time. And it was actually being ran by someone else, a different CEO than my dad. So my dad was chairman of the board, but Flying J was being ran by a different CEO. So I had not worked for the company, but I had been on the board for many, many years. I started on the Flying J's board when I was 18. And I had gone to monthly meetings just to sort of understand Flying J a little bit. And I had been trained by my dad that this CEO would be great. And so I just went about raising my kids and running our helping with our hotel company. My husband was actually running it day to day because we had these 4 small kids. Mm-hmm. But in 2008, when oil went from $140 a barrel down to $30 a barrel in 6 months, Flying J, that was very levered, got in trouble very quickly and ended up in bankruptcy on December 22nd of 2008. And by January of 2009, 3 weeks later, I became CEO of our family business. And I had really 2 very big goals. One was to pay everybody back, and the other was to save as many jobs for our businesses as I could. Mm-hmm. And so I've been with what we now call FJ Management since January of 2009. We did come out of bankruptcy a year and a half later. We did pay everybody back plus interest. And today we have several businesses, as you said. However, I am CEO of our holding company, FJ Management. So each of those businesses you mentioned have a management team. My husband runs our 340 convenience stores called Maverik. He's CEO of that business. And then the refining, the hotels, the bank, they all have various governance structures, but definitely executive teams, and some even have boards. So that is how I can do that. And I hope that gives you a little bit of a snapshot of sort of how I got where I am today.
Yeah, it's kind of nice to see that structure and see how, a lot of small companies don't think about all of the structure that goes into management and the different companies that there is and who is all in charge of that.
Yes. So the presidents of the companies report to me. That's how that reporting structure works.
Awesome.
So going through bankruptcy is a huge deal. And a lot of people had to do that in 2008. And even if they didn't go through bankruptcy, their businesses were crashing. And then we had oil that, it was kind of booming here again. Oil picked up and then it crashed here again in Houston. I remember all of a sudden everyone was coming down here and fracking, and then that crashed as well.
2016.
Yes, it was not a fun year, but that's when I started the publishing company. So that's what happened to us.
Oh, okay. Wow.
I guess my question is, what do you get? Because we have COVID now, businesses have cycles and economies have cycles. And what were the things that you did? Obviously, to achieve that goal, to repay everybody and keep as many jobs and to keep the business and make it flourish again. How did you, and how do you continue to pivot your business to get over those challenges?
So how I got out of bankruptcy, how we got out of bankruptcy was really, we had truck stops across the country at a network, and we had a competitor who really wanted to be a part of our business and merge our two retail outlets together, our truck stop chains. And so we did that and became a minority owner in what became known as Pilot Flying J. That allowed us to get the cash we needed to come out of bankruptcy. I also sold a couple of smaller businesses along the way. So when we came out of bankruptcy in 2010, we had this minority partnership, which then became very successful. But we also had our refinery and the bank, credit card processing, our hotels. We still had a number of businesses that we wholly owned. And they have all mostly done very, very well. I mean, the hotel struggled during COVID, but our businesses have continued to do very, very well. And what we have done with that is we have taken the businesses and the cash flow from the businesses we have reinvested. And over time, we have diversified our business even more. And we are not as, even though we're still in petroleum, we are not as all encompassing in petroleum, I guess I would say, right? It's still the majority of our enterprise value. But over time, my goal is that we diversify more. So we also have put together a quite large investment portfolio that invests in public and private equity. We have recently started a healthcare platform, which is at the moment teeny tiny compared to our petroleum platform. But I hope over time that we can grow it. We're doing some direct investing in healthcare service companies. We're also getting into affordable housing. And so really, we have just been very fortunate that as we restructured, we're able to keep businesses that are super successful. And then we have been able to continue to reinvest that capital and grow the businesses. And so far, so good.
I love that. I think that's such a great value add to all of our listeners, that you have to have multiple baskets. You have to diversify. And you could be going strong in one area and not as strong in the other. But if you have enough diversity, you'll be good.
Right.
And it's kind of a scary thing. I want to talk about reinvesting in your company. And I've noticed you have verticals that are not really affiliated. Like you've got oil, but you've got hotels, you've got a bank. They're all different type of things. And you're saying healthcare. To me, that is totally out of the box, has nothing to do with that. It's scary for a small business owner. Like you say, reinvest in your business, but then you always have there's what if it doesn't work out, and how should we reinvest? What should we use the money for? Should it be in people? Should it be in processes? Should we buy another company and bring it on? So how do you seem like you're fearless in doing that? How do you analyze that and tell other people how to be fearless to do it?
I would say I'm not fearless. I do believe for small business, you do want to stick to your knitting, so to speak, right? You don't want to try to go out and reinvent the wheel over and over, especially if you're growing your business. I think then that just takes your resource capital away and even the minds of the people around you. So I think that when you have small businesses that you want to take your idea, you want to focus on it, you want to build, you want to reinvest. I think surrounding yourself by people that are smarter than you are or know your industry better is a great way to go. With that said, I would not, even if I had the financial strength to go spend millions of dollars on a business that I knew nothing about, I wouldn't do it unless, which is what we're doing, when we're starting relatively small and we've gone out and partnered with people who do know those industries. So we're not just saying, we're going to go start assisted living and we know nothing about it. We have gone and found people that know assisted living and agreed to partner with them. Mm-hmm. We are the healthcare service companies. We are partnered with a private equity firm that's done healthcare service companies for a long time. We have the right to purchase the healthcare companies that they buy at the end of a period, when they want to sell them, we can purchase them and then they would become ours. And hopefully by then, we would like their management teams or what their strategies were. But yeah, I think that as I study family business or business, a lot of times businesses get in trouble because they basically kind of bet the farm on something they know nothing about. So we are, I guess, putting our toe in the water on things where we are large enough now that we can do that and not jeopardize our main businesses. And over time, if those businesses, we're in petroleum, and petroleum, it may not be around forever, right? I mean, we all know that. That's kind of not something that we wouldn't all know. It's just a question of how long. So I need to be prepared that if petroleum goes away, what is that going to look like? I mean, I hope that our business is generational, and I hope that we're providing jobs for lots of families in the future. I love to say family business helping families because we are, our families hopefully helping other families, I hope that we provide jobs for people for a long time. And I take a lot of pride that we provide jobs that last, right? That we don't sell companies just to sell companies, which, that's something. So I guess, I have a book. It's called Building Value to Last. That's the title of the book. It also happens to be the mission statement for FJ Management. And that kind of falls into play with what we were just talking about, because I want to build value to last. It's about generational wealth and doing good, not necessarily about a quick amount of money and I retire.
Yeah, I love that. And so many times you hear of companies who, like you said, just sell out or even sadder, where they just have owned a company for 30, 40 years, and then they just close their doors because they didn't build it the right way or have enough diversification to, sell it or to move on.
Right.
Or leave it to their family and the multi-generational. So let's talk a little bit about how you are a woman in a man's world. So let's talk a little bit about that and how you have, how that's worked for you and how you just kind of, how you live with that in today's society where more and more women are playing your role, but in the 60s, 70s, 80s really wasn't the thing.
Yeah. So when I mentioned earlier that I went to work for our family business in my early 20s. And when I did that, I ended up in a position where I was marketing propane and butane, and I was 22 years old. So I would go to conventions in the petroleum industry as a young 22-year-old woman, single, by the way. And you can only imagine what that was like in the mid 80s. However, I was super naive about it. And I just went and I could negotiate great deals and, and I had fun, but I did recognize there was only one other woman in that small world of marketing LPG products, and she was in her early 40s. So I knew that it was an unusual position to find myself in, and I learned very quickly that I needed to have for respect for myself, that I need to have confidence in myself, and that I needed to do business with integrity, right? And mutual respect for everyone that I was around. And so fast forward to really always being in a room with men. That's just what I do. And I rarely think about it. I probably think about it more if there happens to be 2 or 3 women, because it's exciting. It's like, yay, there's someone else like me. But in general, I really have felt that I've been respected and treated fairly working with men. I think that you by the way you act, I've never chosen to try to be like men. I am myself, and I'm kind of a girly girl to some degree. So I won't talk about football. I have no idea how to talk about football. So I've been in a meeting and people start talking like that, or, it's just chit chat at the beginning of the meeting. I just sit quietly until the meeting starts, and it's never been a problem. I connect with people in other ways, and maybe over kids or, I love to ski, they love to ski. There's many ways to connect with people that have nothing to do with what sex we are. So for me, it's been a huge advantage. Men haven't worked with women as much. They don't know how to negotiate with women. And that's been one of the biggest things that's been helpful to me, really, is just being able to be a woman in a world where men are not used to dealing with women as much.
So it gives you that negotiation edge. Do you see it changing at all in the petroleum industry or the other industries that you're in, that are there more women than there used to be? And is it difficult for them to rise up above, or is it getting easier for them?
I'm hopeful. I can't say that I see a lot at this point, but I am hopeful. And I really think the key is the more we start talking about what a family is going to do together versus men or women. So in other words, the thing that concerns me is when we see more women graduating from college. And as you move through the ranks of corporate America, that's what I know best. You see women fall away, or you have in the past, right?
Yeah.
And usually, often, it's around kids and families' desires to have kids. And for me, I learned that I could have 4 kids and have a position in the C-suite. That doesn't mean I spent every minute with my kids or I picked them up from school. It means that I had to make some sacrifices around raising children. But I had boundaries. I was with them on the weekends, and if they had special things, I would go to them. And I learned as a mom how to be a mom and have an executive position. And I think that that's very difficult if you're rising up in the ranks. And in the past, you were required to travel, or you're required to do a lot of the things you're required to do in a corporate world that men seem to have the ability, in the past seemed to have the ability to do, that women, it got harder and harder. If they had 1 kid, maybe they could still pull it off with a nanny, if they had a partner that supported them. But if they had 2 or 3, it got harder, and it just got better to just stop. And that's what I think needs to change. And I'm really hopeful in our new virtual world that maybe there's opportunities around that. Maybe if, a woman is not competing with men that are willing to make sacrifices and miss kids' games and do things that sometimes women are not willing to do, that women will have more opportunities, because everybody will want to spend time with their kids, right? So I say, I'll go back to where I started. I think this is all about families and careers, and thinking about how you manage as a family to have it all, and it takes some planning, I think. And I think that if women end up in a situation where they haven't really, they may think they want a career, but then they also want to get married and they also have one kids, and they don't talk to their significant others about it, then they potentially find themselves with that motherly instinct taking over.
Yeah.
So
I'm curious that you said you had started when you were 18 to be on the board. Is that right?
yes.
And it was like you were going to college to get that opportunity. But I'm wondering how you're teaching your children to come along to keep the generation, keep them active in the business. And you know, at the time I've taught my children about finance and money and different things as they've been growing up. And I find other parents don't do that. So I'm wondering how you're passing the torch for the next generation.
You know, I have tried. I've definitely been working with the kids. The 4 kids today are 21 to 26. In May, I should have 4 college graduates. I have twins that are finishing up at Notre Dame. The kids are doing very well. I do include them in board meetings. They're not members on the board, but they're welcome to participate. We do have family meetings. There's 6 in the 3rd generation, 4 of my kids, and my brother has 2. And so we have family meetings all together to talk about the business and what we're doing. They're very involved in the foundations, which is often a starting point where people involve their kids.
Mhm.
I definitely am very transparent about what we have. I think it's important that kids who are in family businesses understand the pros and the cons. They certainly lived through the bankruptcy, so they get that piece, right? They were 8 to 13, so they were young, but they understood that I suddenly went away and went to work, more often or full time. So they've learned a lot even by just watching myself and my husband. And I really do think that helps too, right? Like you model what you see. And we have 3 daughters, so it makes me really happy that they have seen that you can have 4 kids and be in the C-suite. And that alone, besides the conversations about our business with them and besides educating them about our businesses, I think will help a lot in the future. Whether they work here or they're stewards for our business, they're going to be involved in these businesses likely. So in some way.
That's wonderful. And I think it's great to continue on that, that business owner entrepreneurial spirit back when, our grandfathers were, renting out roller skates at the
That's
dance
right.
hall, right?
Yep, exactly. That's what they did.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Awesome. Well, we're so grateful for you to be here today. Tell us where everyone can go to get your book and to get more information about you and your companies.
So my book is on Amazon. It's called Building Value to Last. And it has a lot more about the story we've touched on today and my thoughts about where we're going in the world and leadership. And so it's another way to learn more.
Great. We'll put the link up in the show notes as well as up on YouTube.
Great. Thank you so much. It's great visiting with both of you today. I appreciate your time.
You too. We're just grateful that you were here and shared such valuable information. Thanks for joining us today. Remember to subscribe to our podcast. We're here every week, and we love to hear comments from you, and definitely share the podcast with your friends. And remember, if you're looking to write a book and become a #1 best-selling author, we guarantee that our marketing will make you a best-selling author here at Elite Online Publishing. Just go to our submission form and we'll see if we think you're a good fit for us. We'll see you next time. Thanks for stopping by.
Bye.
Hey, are you looking to increase your revenue, build credibility, and elevate your brand? This podcast is brought to you by Elite Online Publishing, an innovative publishing and full spectrum marketing company. They will publish and market your book to make it a #1 bestseller. Becoming an author is the best way to market your business. So contact them at eliteonlinepublishing.com today. All of their authors become #1 bestsellers.